And is it possible he can adapt it and push to a game 3?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if there's any player that can do it, it is going to be Wolf. I think he learned a lot from the speed interactions for one in that last game, knowing that the Crydon liking does, even if he suspected it, does outspeed the Miraidon. It picks up the knockout, or it's very close to picking up the knockout. Once that Miraidon picks up the knockout, and then it's going to hit it as long as the sun's up. So something like the combination of that could be a real play if you want to get rid of that threat if you find yourself in a similar situation going into game 2. Like you said, looking at the replay, the torrentialization, the goal typing on that Incineroar allows us to then switch in, because I think it's risky switching the Incineroar back in to drop an Intimidate, because I think with the life, with the sun in the sky, it is going to be susceptible to going down to a close combat, even at -1. So the ghost typing just gives you that complete alleviation. Obviously, to worry about the Flevens then, but it might be a little bit easier with a Dragon type at the back and switching around in the Flevens than it is the close combat.
Very true, and also something that's difficult for us to deal with was that urgent field. Just applying so much pressure with the close that could obviously bypass the Intimidate speed Incineroar was bringing to the field, as well as now that Floodamane will being able to go to the ice to lower the speed of something like Unimpressive came to the field and got its Squad Strike boost. At the same time, moves like Moonblast and Shadowfall can deal a significant amount of damage. So being able to kind of neutralize it straight away and also play defensively was wonderful. It's even if Wolf is able to get damage on the Urge, but you have to double up into it thanks to that focus dash, and that does not give you room for error.
Yeah, that's the problem I think we saw in that first game as well. Floodamane does have the focus dash, so you would say it's got that little blanket of security for itself, but unfortunately that was broken earlier in the game where Dill was really quite careful about protecting that Urge, getting it off the field as soon as possible, and the way that they managed to engineer the trick.
It's the same leads coming out here from Wolf, the Floodamane and the Crydon, but a little change up here on Dill's side of the field. You've got the Frigger up and the Incineroar. This looks primed to try and get Trick Room set up here, Lee.
Yeah, the Trick Room that we've got here is a really good option once again. It's coming a little bit earlier in the game. You've got that Intimidate initially dropping down, and the possibility as well of the Incineroar going for that Ghost Terror type, because you want to try and remove it, right? But you're going to have to deal with that Fake Out first. The Crydon is in a really awkward position. Do you maybe get it off the field now, maybe try and get the Amoonguss onto the field a little bit sooner to try and utilize that, and utilize as well that Floodamane to try and just get damage onto that Frigger up while you've still got it on the field active. It's immune to the Fake Out, might have a free turn here.
Yes, we'll have to contend with the fact the Incineroar can switch out, maybe bring in something like the Miraidon that can do so well in Trick Room like we were seeing earlier. However, Crydon is being backed on here, going for the terrestrialization. It is going to take the Fake Out, however, it's not going to be able to move and show off its prowess. However, Floodamane can get that Moonblast off. It goes into the Frigger up. It is going to lower its special attack. That might help out with the sidekicks going forward, but it is not going to be enough to stop the Trick Room going up. And now Wolf has two very speedy Pokemon on the field. Not happy with this.
Yeah, this is better though. I think, yeah, the Crydon couldn't move, couldn't pick up the knockout onto the Frigger, but the thing is, the Incineroar's still on the field now, and it has to take a turn to either switch out to get something else, and it's going to be a little bit more better offensively to deal with the Crydon, because obviously the fire typing now is going to be resisted by the opposing Incineroar, and it is still threatened by a close combat into that slot, whereas the Frigger as well has taken a lot of damage from that Moonblast, and another one will put it in range for something like a Sludge Bomb, but preserving it quite smartly wants to keep that Sash attack for later on in this game, and Incineroar a great option to bring back onto the field as well.
Yes, could easily have been tempting to go for the Psychic and the Flare, but the Incineroar on Dill's side may be able to capitalize on the sun being in the sky, but instead goes for the knockoff, removes the life ball from the Crydon, so it's going to be dealing even less damage going forward. The close combat going down to that Incineroar.
This Pokémon and make it even more difficult for this rival. Now it has lost that life ball to pick up the knockout. The sun's still in effect, but it is in a really awkward spot because yes, you do have Incineroar on the field. You do have Fake Out, but oh, wait a minute. The Armor Tail is in effect by the Frigger is going to block that. So you're in a pretty really got anything, you're going to be able to remove the Miraidon. It's easy able to lock into that Electro Drift and pick up either of these targets now.
I don't know what was bigger, the roar from the photograph or the roar from the crowd. We saw that animation come through. It's beautiful play, synergetically bringing the Miraidon in, giving Choreograph even more defensive capability. It's really shutting down the pressure that Miraidon was exerting early on in the game. Choreograph's just kind of done its job here. It's able to get out and bring the Iron Hands to the field. This is another Pokemon that really wants to become a European champion. It has got its fast drive boosted, its attack is raised. It's now going to be able to apply a lot of pressure going forward. Miraidon just playing defensively here, knowing that it has to rethink going forward into these next couple of turns. Incineroar does at least manage to get the parting shot down onto the opposing Miraidon. This is going to lower its special attack. You mean that it's not maybe going to be able to get these KOs that Tilt so desperately wants.
Yeah, this is a really smart play, especially if you get the parting shot into something like the Amoonguss that's in the back. Lowering that special attack is so important to get this big physical special attack here. And now the Iron Hands on the field, you are going to have access to fake out the next turn, which is a bit of a detrimental thing for Wolf because he's just protected that Miraidon. Can't really go for an attack this next turn. It is going to be forced to switch out, and maybe that opens the door for Till to switch something in, but the one Pokemon that you want next to maybe the switch up is something with redirection, and you can try and utilize that. So you have to be careful though to pick up from the Iron Hands into that Amoonguss at least this next turn.
Yes, the Iron Hands can obviously go for that fake out, but if you're maybe thinking that the Miraidon can switch out, you can always capitalize on that, try and get some damage out on the board, because it's not like the Amoonguss can score with the electric terrain in play, and that's really where Amoonguss can be devastating in a trick room situation. So in a way, it's almost like Dill is completely in the game of there and can go all out on the offensive if they want to.
Yeah, and that again, a bit like game one here, really is a tricky position for Wolf to be in, but the one thing we would say a difference to that game one is that they've got all 4 Pokemon, so they have got the ability to switch around, maybe sacrifice things to get through these turns of Trick Room, which is going to be imperative to get that Miraidon back on the field, wipe those Intimidates clean, and start stacking up the damage.
You also have to consider the Choreograph is in the back, but when Trick Room expires, maybe you can get that set up again. Amoonguss is going to be the target of that fake out. Miraidon goes for the Volt Switch, shaking things up on the Volt Switch. Incineroar going to be able to take that reasonably well, but it is now in a vulnerable position for something from the Iron Hands going forward. If Iron Hands wants to go for something like a Drain Punch, that is going to be dealing a significant amount of damage with Incineroar. Coming back onto the field, Dill fake out is once again in play. It might be that Amoonguss is going to be unable to move now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It has been flinched this turn. It's going to potentially flinch this next turn. And Wolf, although has got the active fake out, can't really go for it because it's so easy to switch that Incineroar out again. And I think if you are Dill, you probably want to get it off the field as soon as possible to preserve it for when that Miraidon re-enters the battlefield. So you can drop that Intimidate again, drop that attack, and make your Pokemon a lot easier able to take those big attacks. We are going to see the Iron Hands just leave the field, doesn't want to really stick around too much now, even though it has those super effective attacks into the Incineroar, picking the opportunity to get a Miraidon onto the field and remove that parting shot drop.
Hadron Engine is engaged once again as Miraidon rejoins the field. Defensive place from Wolf though with the protect on that Incineroar as Amoonguss tries to get the knockout and does indeed onto that imposing Incineroar. Always nice to see Amoonguss get it cleared from time to time.
Yeah, really nice play there. The sunlight is ending now and the dimensions turn back to normal. Not the best time though for Wolf because you've got the Incineroar out on the field, you've got the Amoonguss, they're the ones that you want active in the Trick Room, not out of the Trick Room. The Miraidon sitting in a really comfy position. You've got the fake out support from the Iron Hands. It's going to be able to go into that Amoonguss, and the Incineroar is a bit of a sitting duck and he gets some have protect. So you could go for that this turn, but doesn't get around in the following turn. Maybe you use this turn to protect the Incineroar, switch the Amoonguss out, get something like Staff Ultimate onto the field to stop pressuring the Miraidon, and then it might open the door for you to weave back in that Miraidon. At the later stage, now the Trick Room's gone, the Choreograph not on the field, so you can start trying to get that momentum swing back in your favour.
That's the thing, you can pick up the Amoonguss and stop the Rage Powder and allowing Miraidon that's had that parting shot reset, just go all out on the offensive here and get some damage on the board. The Iron Hands does indeed shut down that Amoonguss from providing redirectional support, leaving the Incineroar completely exposed to the follow-up from the Miraidon. It's going to be that voltage once again.
Stick around on the field and commit to anything. It just wants to use that move to get the little bits of damage it needs to onto the field and allow that Choreograph back onto the field. Because now you've got the option, right? If you're the Choreograph, you haven't taken that much damage. It depends what comes back in onto the field. If it is the Miraidon now, it has got that Sun active, so the Flare Blitz would be a threat into the Choreograph. It has used that Electric Seed as well, so switched out and done that defensive The Flare Blitz would be enough to pick up that and prevent another Trick Room. Yeah, the problem is though, you just see that Miraidon come in and would resist that, and then it's going to be tricky, and you leave the Iron Hands kind of open to do what it wants. The thing is as well with the Iron Hands, it's probably not in the best positions now. I think you probably want to set your Trick Room up, maybe get your Miraidon onto the field, get that electric train active as soon as possible, because as long as it's not that Amoonguss is going to be threatening with those balls.
Well, there are no intimidates on this Miraidon now, and as you mentioned, the electric seed is no longer available to that program, so it could be a little bit more exposed. Depending on what Wolf is going for here, the Miraidon could be in a little bit of a difficult spot. The sun is in the sky, the terrestrialization is on that Miraidon. Something like a Flare Blitz could be dealing some devastating damage. We know close combat isn't going to be enough to get the knockout. Iron Hands, however, very happy to get his squad guard boosted up, and Amoonguss providing that redirectional support with the Rage Powder, allowing this Miraidon to do what it wants with that close combat. It will go down to the Miraidon, but as you can see, it can take that so well, and now Miraidon's exposed with the defense, special defense drop.
Yeah, it has, and you can see the difference it makes not having that life orb. The Amoonguss being able to be a really valuable member of the team here, just protecting that Miraidon. And it can do it again here because the Miraidon's only option to get around the Rage Power is locking in on that dancing beam. Well, it's not going to be super effective into the fire terror type on that Miraidon, leaving it open to going for another attack into the Miraidon. It does have to be careful how many of these it goes for though, because these defense drops are going to start to stack up, and the Miraidon only has so much tank in the gas.
Well, let's have a look. The Rage Powder coming through once again. Amoonguss wanting to help out the Miraidon and leave it free to get some damage on the board. It's speedy, and it will be able to get the knockout on the Miraidon with a super critical hit before the point in this final. Of course, now Amoonguss is going to take the Miraidon wherever the Iron Hands throws his way, but I think this was critical for Wolf, getting rid of that Miraidon from play.
Yeah, the Amoonguss is so pivotal here. We do see the into this game, but the one thing, the trump card, Wolf still has is the focus sash and that ultimate is going to be able to come back onto the field and also pressure that high super effective damage into that slot with a Moonblast and maybe even a double up there. We know there's no protect on that slot, so you could go for it. But doing that allows the Trick Room to be set up once again. But again, even if it does, as long as you can get rid of that Iron Hands, Trick Room doesn't matter too much because Farigiraf hasn't got the offensive output like the other options still have access to.
And it doesn't have the defensive capabilities of a protect either, so if Wolf just double up into the Farigiraf, deny a Trick Room, yes, Iron Hands might be able to get the KO onto the Miraidon, but as you mentioned, the focus sash is in place, so it's not going to have the range to get the Fluttermane on this turn. The terrestrialization is still in the back pocket, but still though, there is the poison terrestrialization of this Iron Hands. That's going to resist in close combat, it's going to resist any fairy type moves that the Fluttermane wants to throw his way, so this is a beautiful play. The Shadow Ball, however, is the target going down into this Iron Hands. Only does a minimal amount of damage thanks to the assault missile on that. Really paying off with the special defense is a nice little touch. Flare Blitz is stunned with the Terrifier though, is going to come down into the Iron Hands. But unfortunately it has no friends by its side to get the damage in the next turn.
And like we said, all it takes is to double up the commitment into the Iron Hand slot. A really smart terrestrialization from Dill there to try and get around the threat of the close combat, the Moonblast that would be so detrimental. Wolf seeing through that. I need to get Chip onto that slot. Going for the Shadow Ball instead. It wasn't super effective. It didn't do that much damage, but it did enough to set up the Flare Blitz, which is boosted by that terrestrialization in the sun to take that down. And now the Trick Room up, but Farigiraf on its own, on its lonesome. Can it turn the tables? Maybe not so much against this Focus Sash Fluttermane.
Teamwork at its finest. The synergy between the Miraidon and the Fluttermane there, being able to get the KO was critical there for Wolf. You could always have the option to try to stop the Trick Room, but actually it doesn't matter if it goes up. If you can KO that Assault Vest Iron Hands that also could protect. It was a prime target for that knockout. Miraidon playing defensively in this turn. Fluttermane too, just trying to burn through one of these turns, maybe buy Wolf a little bit more time to think ahead to game 3.
Yeah, and there's no harm in doing this at all. You can go out on the whole offensive now, but yeah, well, I need to take all the time you need here. The Farigiraf only has the psychic that it can rely on. It has to target one thing at a time. Yes, you can go after the Miraidon now, but then again, you've still got to attack into the Fluttermane. How many psychics is it going to take to remove that. And we know that it's only going to take 2 Moonblasts to get rid of the Frigoraph, where you can go for the Moonblast now, put it into range, then the next turn go for the Protect. It's going to have to Psychic into you, that leaves you enough room to get that final Moonblast off, closest matchup. But more importantly, like we've always talked about, you can take your time setting up what you think about game 3 once this game is tied up.
Yes, Bloodmane does have incredible special defense, but sitting very pretty on the field. Really nice from Wolf to reserve it from the very beginning of this turn, and now reveal it at the end to clean up this match. The helping hand, unfortunately, is there. There is a Wolf evens the score, and now there is 1 game standing between these trainers and the champion title.
Wow, at times it just looked untenable for Wolf, who was pinned in, still doing a great job of that, but not giving up, using the Amoonguss so effectively in that game to get through those Trick Room turns and preserving his Pokemon is what he's best at, getting through the really tight situations and then taking the opportunity when it's presented. Special attack Rhydon after losing the life orb, you saw the damage difference onto the Mirage.